The air smelled of chemicals and steel. Cold lights hummed above as a group of armored Galrek guards marched through the long metal hallway. They dragged behind them a broken figure, a human. His name was not known. The files just said specimen, H01. His skin was bruised, muscles worn, and his body barely moved. But his eyes, they still burned with something no one could quite explain. "Why do we keep this thing alive?" One guard muttered. "Orders from high command," another answered. "The last human must be studied. For safety." The guards reached a thick door made of black steel. A red scanner beeped, and the door opened with a hiss. Inside was the research chamber, wide, cold, filled with glowing machines and glass cages. Dr. Varan stood waiting. He was young by Galrek standards, curious, and smarter than most. His long fingers adjusted his lab coat, and his silver eyes stared at the prisoner. "Put it on the table," Varan said calmly. The guards obeyed, lifting the human onto the metal slab at the center of the room. His arms and legs were chained. He didn't resist. "Still alive after all this time," Varan whispered, walking closer. "I've read so many stories. They called your kind monsters, bringers of fire, killers of gods, but you look ... tired." The human didn't answer. Varan leaned in. "Tell me, what makes humans so dangerous? What was the secret?" Still no response. Just a stare. One of the guards laughed. "This thing dangerous? It's just meat." He slapped the human across the face. The room went silent. The human slowly turned his head toward the guard. His lip cracked into a faint smile, not of pain, but of something else, something worse. "Did you see that?" Varan asked, stepping back. It smiled. Before anyone could speak, the lights flickered. "Power fluctuation," said a technician. "Strange, ... The core is stable." The lights flickered again, then went black. Screams echoed in the dark. Metal slammed. Blood hit the walls, then silence. The backup lights turned on. Everyone except Varan was dead. The guards were torn apart. The technician's body hung from the ceiling by a wire. The table was empty. The human was gone. On the glass wall, written in blood, were two words: "We remember." A day earlier, the planet 09 was a fortress world, deep in Galrek space. It held secrets, weapons, and things the galaxy feared. The last human had been kept here for 10 years, studied, poked, tortured, and mostly ignored. Varan had always been curious about humans. He was only a child when the final war ended. He remembered seeing the sky of his homeworld burn, not because of humans, but because of what the Galrek had done to them. The war had been short, violent, and full of rumors. Ships vanishing, entire fleets lost, cities on fire. But then, one day, Earth was gone. The official story said humanity destroyed itself, but the whispers said otherwise. Some said humanity chose to vanish, others said they never left. Varan never believed the lies told by the Empire. That's why he had requested to study the last human. He wanted answers. He didn't expect death. Now sirens wailed. Security flooded the lab. Voran stood frozen, covered in blood that wasn't his. His heart pounded. "What happened?" Commander barked. I don't know," Voran stammered. "The lights went out. Then it killed them. All of them." "You're saying this thing did all this alone?" "Yes." The commander shook his head. "That's impossible. He was chained." "He wasn't." When the lights came back, the commander looked at the blood writing on the wall. "We remember. Get this to high command. Now." Across the galaxy, ... far from 09, in the cold darkness between stars, something stirred. A ship ... old, black, silent ... It came to life. Its engines glowed red. Its name was carved into its side, a name long forgotten. HSS Revenant. Inside, systems booted up. AI voices whispered. "Sleep." Pods opened. A voice spoke softly through the empty halls. "Reactivation successful. Human combat unit awake. Orders received. Rescue the humans." Were not extinct. They had been waiting. Meanwhile, in a dark hallway on 09, the human moved like a shadow. He passed through vents, hallways, and tunnels. Cameras didn't catch him. Sensors didn't register him. He reached a restricted area. A vault. The guards never saw him. The human's hands moved with purpose. He placed a small black device on the vault's control panel. It beeped. Once, then twice. The door opened. Inside was something that Empire thought buried forever. Human technology. Armor. Weapons. Memories. The human smiled again. It was time. Dr. Varan's journal. Entry number 74. "I think we've made a mistake. This prisoner was not just kept alive. He let us keep him. He watched us, he learned, and now, he's free. If the stories are true, this isn't the beginning of the end. It's the beginning of revenge. And I'm starting to wonder if we're the real monsters. Darkness filled the underground levels of 09. Thick metal walls hummed with power, but every corner now felt colder. Guards walked with fear in their steps. Scientists whispered behind sealed doors. Something had changed. The last human had escaped, and no one knew where he was. Hook first 5 to 7 minutes. The security feed showed only static. The backup systems weren't working. Emergency lights flickered. The bodies of Galrek soldiers were found in strange positions, some with no marks, others burned from the inside. Commander Trask stood in the hallway outside Lab 17, staring at the words on the wall. "We remember who is we," he growled. Dr. Varan stood beside him, pale and silent. "I don't think he's alone," Varan said. "I think something's coming." The commander narrowed his eyes. "That thing is a savage. We'll find it and burn it." Varan shook his head. "That's the mistake. You think he's the same human we captured, but he was never a prisoner. He was observing us." At that moment, all lights on the level went out. Then a whisper echoed through the darkness. A human voice. "You should have left us alone." Plot development scene 1. Hunt begins. 09 locks down. Every level is sealed. Drones fly through the halls. Soldiers carry plasma rifles. Their orders kill the human on sight, but the human moves like a ghost. Leaves no trail, only bodies. One by one, soldiers vanish. No alarms, no sounds. It feels like he's hunting them. Commander Trask grows angry. He sets traps. He orders heat scanners and gas attacks. Nothing works. The human is always 2 steps ahead. Does it even sleep? One soldier whispers, "No," someone else replies, "It waits." Scene 2. The security room. Dr. Varan locks himself in the control center. He replays old videos, tapes from the early days of the human's captivity. In one video, a different human is seen, female, strong, speaking in an old Earth language. "We are not monsters," she says. "We were made into them." Another clip shows the same human, bleeding, screaming. One final message: "Revenant will return, and we will make you understand." Varan searches the archives. He finds a black file, sealed for years. It talks about a lost ship, the HSS Revenant. Last seen near Earth's destruction. It was never destroyed, it disappeared. Scene 3. In the shadows somewhere, deep below. The escaped human, now dressed in light armor taken from the vault, moves through power tunnels. He's not alone anymore. He activates a hidden beacon. A red signal pulses once, far away, in deep space. The Revenant responds. Signal received. Human units. Awakening. Inside the ship, cryopods open. Soldiers step out. Not just 1 or 2. Dozens. These aren't soldiers of war. They are ghosts of vengeance. The human smiles. They think he's a monster. They haven't seen what comes next. Scene 4. The first firefight. Commander Trask finally corners the human in an abandoned mech bay. A full unit of Galrek troopers surround the chamber. Heavy guns ready. Drones flying overhead. "Come out," Trask yells. "You're done." No answer. Then a sound, a slow metal knock. Clang, clang, clang from above. The ceiling explodes. The human drops down from the roof, wearing an old Earth stealth suit. He moves too fast. Troopers open fire, but they miss. The human fires back, not with lasers but with something old. Projectile rounds, loud, sharp, brutal. In 30 seconds. It's over. The Galrek lie dead. Trask is wounded. He crawls behind cover. The human walks over, calm. Trask spits blood. "You monsters." The human kneels beside him. "No," he says. "You made us into this, and now you'll see why that was a mistake." He vanishes into smoke. Scene 5. The choice. Dr. Varan watches everything from the cameras. His hands shake. He knows the truth now. The humans never died. They just stopped trusting the galaxy. That they waited, and now they're waking up. Varan writes a new message in his private journal. The ghost is not alone. The Empire believes it holds power, but it does not. The power is coming, and it wears a human face. Scene 6. Final warning. As power fails across the station, a transmission plays through every speaker. Voice clear, human, and cold. "This is just the beginning. You called us monsters. Now you'll learn what we really are. You created the darkness. Now we live in it." The screen fades to black. And the Revenant enters the system. The stars near 09 began to shimmer unnaturally out in deep space. Beyond the scanners of the Galrek Empire, something ancient moved. It wasn't an asteroid. It wasn't a ship like theirs. It was older, stronger. angrier. It was human, and it had just woken up. Hook first 5 to 7 minutes in the silent dark of deep space. A massive vessel began to breathe. Its engines, quiet for decades, hummed with red light. The armor plating, blacker than void, reflected no light. Its name burned across its hull in dead earth script, HSS Revenant. Inside, alarms, CHIRPED.AI systems powered on, cryopods opened, one by one. Human soldiers stepped out, eyes adjusting to the dim red light, their breath cold as mist. They didn't speak, they didn't scream, they remembered. Plot progression. Scene 1. Ship of Ghosts. Commander Amon stepped out of his pod first. Tall, scarred, and silent, he looked around. Status, he asked. Systems online, the AI answered. Target, signal received from Unit HO1, mission recovery and retaliation. How long have we slept? 42 years, Commander. Amon stared out into the stars. Then they've had time to forget fear. He opened a locker, pulling out his old Earth combat armor, dull gray, marked with a red skull. The lights turned blood red. Prepare for drop. Scene 2. Empire in panic on 09. Chaos spread. The escaped human had vanished again. Commander Trask lay in medical recovery, burned and broken. Dr. Varan stood before the High Council via hologram. They were never extinct, Varan told them. They've been hiding, preparing, watching. A general growled. We crushed them. Earth was turned to glass. Varan shook his head. You destroyed a planet, not a people. Just then, an alert flashed across every Imperial fleet screen. Unidentified vessel entering system. Human origin. Designation, HSS Revenant. Panic followed. Scene 3. First contact. The Revenant drifted towards 09 without fear. Galrek defense fleets swarmed into position. Battleships, cruisers, drones, all formed a wall of metal. Inside the Revenant, Commander Amon stood on the bridge. Let them fire first, he said. They did. Dozens of plasma torpedoes lit up the void. None of them hit. The Revenant didn't dodge it. Absorbed the attacks, its hull shining briefly, then returning to black. Then it struck back. A single beam of red energy pierced the lead. Galrek cruiser. It vanished. No explosion, just gone. The rest of the fleet backed away. Scene 4. The truth spreads across the Empire. Systems lit up with alerts. Human vessel detected. Revenant-class ship confirmed. Earth forces returning. On minor colonies, Galrek civilians began to whisper the monsters had returned. But they weren't monsters, they were hunters. Dr. Varan recorded a final log. They never screamed when they were hunted. They watched us scream instead. We called them beasts. But they are something worse. They are focused, cold, calculated, and we taught them this. Scene 5. Ground invasion begins. Pods launched from the Revenant. Each one carried elite human soldiers, trained in silence, bred for vengeance. They hit 09 like fire falling from the sky. Galric ground units rushed to respond. They couldn't. The human squads were too fast, too quiet. They moved like shadows, attacked like storms. Each kill was fast. No mercy, no glory. Just purpose. Scene 6. Reunion in a secure zone near the core. HO1 waited. He watched as a pod landed beside him. The door opened. Commander Amon stepped out. You waited a long time. Amon SAID. HO1 nodded. I had to be sure. And now, they remember us. They stood together. The old and the new. The others. IHO1 asked. More Revenant-class ships awakening. Amon replied. We weren't the only ones. IHO1's face darkened. Then this is just the beginning. Final scene. A message to the galaxy before leaving 09 in flames. The humans sent out one message broadcast across every channel, every frequency, every star. You called us monsters. You thought we were gone. We were watching. We were evolving. And now we've returned. You can call us monsters again, but remember this. You made us. The transmission ended. Silence returned to space. But fear did not. Fear had already begun. The Galric Empire had ruled for centuries. Its fleets patrolled thousands of worlds. Its flag flew over every colony. But on a peaceful mining colony named Kavaxri, that flag would burn. Hook. First 5 to 7 minutes, children played in dusty streets. Traders loaded or into large haulers. The sky above was clear until it turned red. Screamed civilians looked up and froze. Something massive entered orbit. A black ship, shaped like a blade, cut through the sky. HSS Revenant. It didn't speak, it didn't warn, it simply opened its launch bays. From the sky, pods began to fall, each one marked with a red skull. The humans had arrived. Plot 1. Kavax 3 under siege. The colony's defense systems activated. Artillery towers fired at incoming pods, but nothing hit. Human pods moved with precision, dodging midair, guided by AI. They landed in silence. Doors opened. Human soldiers stepped out armored, emotionless, fast. They moved like predators. By the time the Galrek sent a distress signal, 3 cities were already burning. Scene 2. Commander Amon's March. Commander Amon led the ground assault. He didn't speak often. He didn't need to. Every soldier knew their task: break communications, erase resistance, and send a message. Amon found a Galrek communication bunker. Inside, engineers tried to jam human signals. They didn't see him coming. One by one, they fell. Amon stood before the main console and sent a simple message into the stars. Colony Kavax 3 is no longer under your control. Then he activated the beacon. A second Revenant-class ship arrived. Scene 3. Dr. Voron's warning back on the Imperial homeworld. Dr. Voron stood before the High Command Council again. They're not attacking at random, he said. Picking targets that matter. Systems with resources, hubs of control. They're just humans. One general snapped. We'll crush them. No, Voron replied. There's something else now. They learned from us. They know how we think. The council laughed. Voron didn't. You called them monsters, he whispered, but you never understood what you made. Scene 4. A lesson in war. The Galrek sent a battlecruiser to protect Kavax-3. It never reached the surface. The Revenant's rail cannon fired once. The cruiser split in half. Silent. Instant. Human dropships moved through the wreckage without slowing. Inside cities, Galrek soldiers tried to resist. Snipers disappeared first. Command centers were overrun in minutes. One Galrek commander tried to surrender. The humans left him alive with a note. Tell your people, this is not war. This is justice. Scene 5. The children. Not all humans were soldiers. In a quiet zone on Kavax 3, civilians found something strange. A human child, alive, calm. She stood near a burning Galrek tank, unharmed. Soldiers approached. She simply said, "You shouldn't have hurt us," and then walked away. No one stopped her. Later, it was discovered she wasn't born naturally. She was a memory clone, part of Project Revenant's legacy. Even their children were weapons. Scene 6. End of Kavax 3. Within 48 hours, the colony fell. Completely. Human banners were hung from towers. The mines were sealed. The data cores were taken. And then, the humans left. They didn't stay. They didn't colonize. They simply broke everything and left the ashes behind. Final message. As the last pod departed, a broadcast echoed across the Empire again. This was your first lesson. We are not your slaves. We are not your monsters. We are your reflection. Look into our eyes and see what you made us become. Kavax 3 was silent, and the rest of the Empire began to fear the dark. The Revenant floated silently above the wreck of Kavax 3. Its black hole blended with the stars, and inside it, something ancient had been unlocked. Not a weapon, not a virus, but memories. And those memories were about to change everything. Hook. First 5 to 7 minutes in a dark room inside the HSS Revenant. Commander Amon stood alone. Before him floated a small sphere of light, an ancient human AI archive. The voice that came from it was calm, familiar, and long dead. This is Admiral Lena Rourke. Final entry. Year 2681. If you're hearing this, Project Revenant has begun. Amon said nothing. The voice continued. The Galrek didn't defeat us. We let them think they did. Plot progression. Scene 1. The hidden Plantha archive explained everything. Earth was under siege by the Gal (REK). They knew they couldn't win with numbers. Humanity was outgunned, outnumbered, and surrounded, so they created a lie. They pretended to lose. They surrendered. Earth faked their extinction, hid their true forces. Thousands of humans were cryo-frozen across secret ships like the Revenant. AI-controlled warships went dark, waiting for a signal set to awaken only if the Empire became vulnerable. That signal was HO1. Scene 2. HO1's truth. In another room, Dr. Voron, now a prisoner aboard the Revenant, sat across from HO1. You were never a prisoner, Voron said. Were you? HO1 looked at him with cold eyes. I volunteered. I was part of the plan. Why? Voron asked. Why let us study you for years to learn you, understand your pride, your fears, and to wait until the Empire forgot how dangerous we are. You wanted revenge. No, HO1 replied. We wanted justice. Scene 3. Memory clones. Amon visited the chamber where young human clones were being trained. Children with the memories of ancient soldiers, scientists, tacticians. Each one programmed with a purpose. rebuild the human legacy in silence. One small girl walked up to him. "Are we the monsters now?" she asked. Amen didn't answer, because deep down he didn't know. Scene 4. A message uncovered. The archive revealed a secret location. The Ark of Memory, a deep space vault where humanity's last leaders left the full truth. Amen set course, but Galrek scouts had picked up the signal too. Both sides raced toward the vault. Inside it lay not only the past but a final weapon. Scene 5. The Galrek realized the Lion, the Empire's capital. The High Command watched footage of Kavaks, of the Revenant, of human ground troops moving with brutal precision. One general whispered, "We didn't win. We were fooled." Another replied, "We didn't conquer Earth. They sacrificed it." They began to panic. If humans could fake extinction, what else could they fake? The fear of humans returned. Scene 6. AI's final words. As the AI finished the archive playback, it gave one final warning. If the Empire still exists, it means we failed. If you're still fighting, then finish what we started. Don't just survive, make them remember. Commander Amen closed his eyes. He remembered Earth. Not as ashes but as a memory. A promise. Final scene. The Ark awaits the Revenant. Jumped into warp space heading for the Ark of Memory. The past was no longer forgotten. Dat was waiting, and the humans were ready to unleash the truth, and maybe something worse. The stars blurred as the HSS Revenant tore through warp space. Its target, a forgotten graveyard at the edge of the galaxy. There beneath black ice and broken moons, slept the final legacy of humanity, the Ark of Memory. Hook. First 5 to 7 minutes, Commander Arman stood at the bridge, staring out into the abyss. The ship's AI spoke quietly, approaching coordinates. The Ark is near. No signals detected, but that was a lie. As the Revenant slowed, an enormous shadow rose from behind a fractured moon. It wasn't a ship, it was a station, larger than anything the Galrek had ever built, miles wide, hidden inside the bones of a dead planet. Lights flickered on across its surface. A message played, recorded centuries ago. "Welcome, humans. If you've come this far, it means Earth has fallen. But not our legacy." The Ark of Memory had awakened. Plot progression. Scene 1. The gate. The Revenant docked slowly at the Ark. Its massive doors groaned open, revealing a tunnel lined with golden panels etched with human history, wars, discoveries, alliances, betrayals. Each one played like a memory across the walls. Amen. H01, and Dr. Varan entered. Watched by ancient security drones, Varan whispered, "What is this place?" H01 answered, "Everything the Empire tried to erase." Scene 2. The record of Earth. Inside the central chamber, the Ark projected a 3D image of Earth before its fall. Blue, alive, full of cities. Then the Galrek attacks began. The system showed major battles, war councils, and Project Revenant, secret creation. A hidden vote played next, human leaders deciding whether to launch their final plan, fake extinction, burn their homeworld, and go silent for decades. A voice spoke, "We will lose Earth, but we will not lose us. One day we will return, and they will understand." Dr. Varan watched in silence, realizing the truth. Humanity had sacrificed everything to build something greater. Scene 3. The weapon below. Beneath the Ark, the group found sealed vaults. Inside, weapons not based on lasers or bombs but warheads, reality rippers, and sentient viruses made to eat star systems. Things so dangerous, even the humans never used them. Each vault was labeled, in case of extinction or revenge. Commander Amen turned to H01. "We awaken these. We don't come back from it." H01 simply said, "Maybe we weren't meant to." Scene 4. Galrek. Interruption. Back in the Empire. Galrek. Command detected the Ark's reactivation. A massive fleet was dispatched. Their orders, destroy the Ark, but they were too late. As they neared the system, the Revenants sent out one broadcast. "Approach, and we show you what monsters truly look like." The Galrek ignored it. They never saw the weapon fire. They never even screamed. 3 capital ships vanished. No debris, no light, just silence. Scene 5. Voran's choice. Dr. Voran stood before the last memory core. Inside was a complete map of every Galrek planet, command base, and weakness. He knew that once given to our men, there would be no going back. But something inside him had changed. He walked to our men. "I will help you, but not for revenge," he said. "For truth." Our men looked at him and nodded. Truth is the only thing they feared more than us. Scene 6. The message to the galaxy. Before leaving the Ark, humanity sent one more broadcast. Every world, every star system, Every empire heard it. A female voice echoed, "You thought we died with Earth. You were wrong. We buried ourselves in silence, so when we returned, our voice would be heard in every star. We were never monsters. You just couldn't accept what we became to survive." The arc sealed itself, and the Revenant began its next journey. Final scene, war is coming as the Revenant vanished into warp again. Dr. Varan looked at the stars. "Do you think they'll surrender?" he asked. HO1 answered coldly, "No, but they'll learn. Even monsters were once human." The stars blinked out as war approached. The broadcast from the Ark of Memory spread like wildfire across the stars. Galrek citizens stared at their screens, hearing the voices of the species they thought extinct. Miners stopped drilling. Soldiers froze mid-training. Generals locked their doors for the first time in generations. The Galrek were afraid. Hook, first 5 to 7 minutes in a luxury tower on Shala Prime, one of the Empire's richest planets. High nobles laughed at the news. "Humans, just old stories," one of them said, sipping blue wine. Nothing more. Then the lights went out. A ship appeared above the city, silent, black, its hull marked with a red skull. No warning, no demands. The towers collapsed in seconds, and the humans didn't stay. They left only one thing, a hologram playing the words, "We are not stories, we are the ending." Plot progressions in one. Coordinated strikes across dozens of Galrek systems. Human ships began to appear. Not full fleets, just 1 or 2 Revenant-class warships per system. But that was enough. Each ship targeted a vital location. Communication hubs, military command posts, fuel and warp supply chains. Human forces would strike fast, disable everything, and disappear. Before the Galrek could even respond, another world fell. Scene 2. Civilian panic on colonies like Zarnazet and Veltar. Panic gripped the population. People looted stores, fled cities, or begged their government for help. Rumors spread. They don't take prisoners. They erase entire bases. They can't be stopped. Worse, Galrek soldiers began to desert. Some even sent messages begging for peace. Scene 3. The Empire. Cracks inside the Galrek Central Council. Arguments exploded. "We need to strike Earth," one general shouted. "There is no Earth," another barked. "We destroyed it." Dr. Varan, now advising from a secure line aboard the Revenant, spoke up. "You destroyed a rock, but you forgot what lived on it, and now they've remembered everything." The council was divided. Half wanted peace, half wanted annihilation. None of them could agree. And that's when the humans made their move. Scene 4. The Sabotage. Team's human units were now deploying infiltration squads. These weren't full armies. They were ghosts. Small teams would sneak into Galrek bases, plant charges, disable AI cores, and walk out unseen. In one case, an entire space station was emptied overnight. No alarms, no deaths. Just gone. The next day Galrek received a message. "We could have killed them all, but that wouldn't teach you anything." Scene 5. The message of the dead in the capital city of Korathwan. A huge screen turned on by itself. It showed images from centuries ago. Galrek troops killing humans on Earth. Children, civilians, scientists. The video faded to black. Then a voice said, "We were peaceful. You called us weak. We defended ourselves. You called us monsters. Now you hide behind walls. What should we call you?" The population erupted into riots. Scene 6. Commander Amon's decision. Back on the Revenant. Commander Amon received reports. 17 systems hit 12 colonies, disabled for entire fleets. Pulled back to defend key worlds, but Amon was quiet. HO1 approached. "We've shaken them," Amon nodded. "Fear spreads faster than fire, but this isn't the end." He looked at a star map. A red marker blinked near the Empire's core. Target Kaltor Prime. Empire's central military nexus. Location of the first human massacre. Amen turned to his officers. "It's time to return the pain." Final scene. The shadows move on Kaltor Prime. Galrek High Command strengthened defenses, pulled every ship, called every soldier. But in the city's sewers, a human strike team was already there. They lit a beacon, and in orbit, a new human fleet dropped out of warp. Not just one Revenant, but 5. The stars began to blink red, and fear turned to despair. The stars above Kaltor Prime turned blood red, the once proud capital of the Galrek military empire, home to its greatest victories, was now surrounded. 5 Revenant-class warships hovered in orbit. Every scanner failed. Every signal was jammed. The silence felt louder than war, but everyone on the planet knew. The humans had arrived. Hook. First 5 to 7 minutes, Galrek soldiers lined the streets. Anti-air guns aimed skyward. Drones hovered, scanning for threats, but nothing came from the skies. The attack came from below. Sewer grates burst open, walls exploded. Human strike teams moved through the streets like shadows, fast, cold, unstoppable. Each wore a mark on their chest, a red skull over Earth. Civilians screamed, command centers burned, and above it all, a single message played across every screen on Kaltor: you feared monsters, so we became what you feared. Plot progression Scene 1. Total collapse within 12 hours. Every power station, every military node, every defense grid on Kaltor was disabled. The Galrek chain of command broke. Some tried to flee, others tried to fight. None succeeded. Human forces moved in silence, never celebrating, just working. One by one, Galrek leaders were captured but not executed. They were made to watch. Scene 2. The trial of a species in Kaltor's Grand Hall once used to announce. Conquest's humans broadcast a trial not of a person, not of a soldier, but of an entire species. Dr. Varan, now serving as an interpreter between the humans and the Empire, stood beside HO1. Amen addressed the galaxy. You said we were wild. You said we were beasts. You never saw our mercy, only our fire. Now you will see both. One by one, screens showed Galrek war crimes from the Earth War. Massacres. Forced experiments. Genocide. And then the screen cut to black. Scene 3. The decision man stood before the high-ranking Galrek survivors. You have two choices, he said. Fight, and we finish what you started. Surrender, and we end this war without ending your species. The chamber fell silent. One Galrek general stepped forward. His voice cracked. We surrender. Scene 4. The message to the galaxy across every system. A final human transmission played. This is what you made us. We loved peace. You taught us fear. We reached out. You pulled your weapons, so we built ours. In silence. We became your monsters, and now you know the truth. Asterisk, asterisk, the last human didn't die. He waited. Asterisk, asterisk, then the voice changed. That it was a child. A young girl's voice. We don't want to destroy, but we will not be hunted again. Scene 5. Aftermath. The Empire collapsed in weeks. Without its command, the Galrek worlds splintered into smaller nations. Some allied with humans, others went silent, but no one ever dared raise a weapon against Earth's descendants again. The name Revenant became sacred and feared. Final scene. A grave and a garden on a green planet far from war. Amen and HO1 stood beneath a small stone. It read, Earth destroyed, not defeated. Behind them, children human and Galrek played together in peace. Dr. Varan watched from the edge of the field. He asked Amon, is this the end? Amon shook his head. No, he said, this is the beginning. They looked up at the stars, silent, waiting, watching. And for the first time in centuries, humanity was no longer alone.